to Arts Center, the Cultural Center of Cape Charles. I want to thank you, especially you parents, for the 100% participation that we had in the 2 rehearsals yesterday and the previous Thursday. I think this is going to help the students, the piano students, a great deal. Also, thank you to Claylee Shepard for all the work that she does to create this major cultural center in what might be a desert. So I think of this as the oasis in the desert. I do want to point out one important program correction. I, in my haste, left out in Gabby Osborne's name, there is an A after the G, so it's G-A-B-B-I rather than G-B-B-I. So, Gabby, I apologize for this mistake that I made. It won't happen again. I hope that we'll be today setting a new standard because we've set a new level. We've never done our pieces for memory before, but we are this evening, and we've never done group rehearsals before, and we did that this time too. The piano is a difficult instrument, and Simon's teacher has a favorite saying that goes like this: the piano is one of the easiest instruments to play. Any 1-year-old can make a piano sound, but it is also one of the most difficult to play artistically. So what we do in piano lessons is strive for some of the artistic qualities of piano playing. So the order of business today is, first we'll hear the students play, and then I want to call everyone who played to the stage to receive their certificate of participation. After that, we have a special announcement, and finally, we'll adjourn to a refreshment reception in the stage door gallery. So, I believe Claylee Shepard is first on the list. I get to use my music. Mine's 12 pages long. This piece is, I have my notes here. It's called papillons. It's the French word for butterfly. It's by Robert Schumann. It's opus 2, so it's very early work by Schumann. It's a set of 12 pieces. They're colorful pieces. They conjure up images of dance, because Schumann based this piece on chapter 28 of a novel by Jean Paul. In German, it's called Flügeljahre. It translates, when it was translated into English, the translator called it the twins, and the name of the twins is Walt, W-A-L-T, and Volt, V-U-L-T. Well, in this chapter of this book, I think I failed to mention the title of the chapter. It's chapter 28, and the title of this chapter is called The Masked Ball. So it's really dance music, but there's a little more to it than that. At the ball, well, first of all, I should say that Walt and Vina, W-I-N-A, are in love. So at the masked ball, his twin brother persuades him to trade costumes with him. So Vina ends up dancing with her boyfriend's brother rather than her boyfriend. The opening of the piece, I'm going to go through just a little bit of, it's almost what they call a lecture recital, but I don't want it to be like that. I want to give you some images to go with the music. So let me demonstrate a couple of sections of this piece. It opens with an introduction, which is one line long, and it's like an invitation to dance. The man says to the woman, "Will you dance with me?" And she says, "Yes, I'll dance with you." "Yes, I'll dance with you." And then the dance goes on. And so that's set number one piece. And then number two is, it's as if somebody is late to the ball, so they come scurrying in. each of these students who have indeed set a new standard today. I have to get my notes. Hold on. Okay, it's time to award certificates. So I want every student, everyone who played, including Simon, to come up to the stage so I can begin with your... Played first and gets the certificate first. Alan Killebrew played second, and so he gets the next certificate. Annie Jones, thank you for playing for us today. And T.J. Osborne. And Caroline Jones, thank you. Gabby, thank you for playing and singing for us, by the way. She loves to sing, so why not, no? Anna Fountain. And Simon. Thank you. Let's give all Very good. Well, if you want to stay up on stage while we make a special announcement. Clelia, what's happening next?
What did you ask me? I would like to say a few words because I was just thinking, how long have we had Vernon with us? You know, I'm so busy all the time, I never even think of the length of time it takes for things to develop. I just go. And I just thought while he was playing so beautifully for us, and it is actually quite touching because the description prior to your playing was extremely, I don't know, it was just really great because not everybody can interpret music the way I'm showing us those images, especially for me being a visual. It just gave me a whole entire different picture. And therefore I thank you, Vernon, for that. A little lecture and playing which was really, really informative. But Vernon, I want to thank Virginia Savage because it is through Virginia that we have Vernon here. He's been with us for at least 6 years. And
September 1999.
yes, it's been 6 years. And I mean, it's just wonderful that he has stuck with us for so long in all this confusion that we sometimes create with performances, and we offer many disciplines of the arts. This is one of the most important, and I feel that we're very fortunate to have somebody like Vernon McCart, who is so dedicated, and I feel that I'm very privileged. I want to thank also Simon Zhang and his parents for coming tonight to give us a glimpse of what it means to work hard, the talent, in such a young, promising performer. I just hope one day we'll be fortunate enough to have him come back here when he is world famous. And I would like to thank Roll and Chris Roll for coming tonight and videotaping for the first time. We are now actually recording this evening. And thank you so much for accepting to do this. And now I want to let Vernon give you the good news.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but last spring we did not do a recital. We sort of put it off because we put in a grant application and we were sort of hoping to get positive results. Well, the results were negative. So we had our next recital last October. But in March, the due date came again to apply for a grant from the Norfolk Foundation. The Sloan Fund was due again the 1st of April, I believe. So I whipped out my old application and sort of dusted it off and made a few revisions and called a few people and found out that I'd applied for the wrong kind of piano. I was a young from the application. This application is for a Steinway Grand Model B, which is a 7-foot piano. In the last 9 years, Arts Center Cape Charles has become a cultural oasis in Northampton County. This is an application. These words were to the Norfolk Foundation, to the Sloan Fund, writing to their board. Northampton County, on one of the poorest areas in the state of Virginia, approximately twice a month, Arts Center presents a cultural event. Some of these events require grand piano, for which we currently have to rent one. If Arts Center at the Palace Theater were to have a professional level grand piano available, we would be able to present more piano recitals, chamber music, opera arias, jazz ensembles, and Broadway musicals. Arts Center not only brings cultural events to Northampton County, but also has an important educational mission as well. Classes in music, art, drama figure heavily in the work of Arts Center. Many residents of Northampton County have never had the benefit and pleasure of hearing a live performance on a beautiful grand piano. We hope that the Norfolk Foundation Sloan Fund will agree with us that the need for a professional level grand piano in Northampton County at Arts Center is clear and compelling, and we would be a fitting tribute to the memory of E.K. Sloan, who gave all the money to the Norfolk Foundation to make all these piano grants. We got a positive result on Wednesday morning. I got a phone call from the person who works in the office there and said it had been approved. 7-foot Steinway on stage. Thank you, everybody.
Well, Vernon, I also wanted to point out that we were one of 3 recipients. The other 2 recipients were ODU, I believe, and Christopher Newport News. There were about 40 applicants. So I feel very